I'm Amy Dolan, and this is the Feeding People podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Feeding People podcast. I'm Amy Dolan, your host. So happy to be with you again this week. I hope that you really enjoyed today's episode. If you're enjoying our show, would you do us a favor and head on over to Apple Podcasts and rate and review and subscribe to our show? That would be really helpful to us. And if you'd like to check us out on Patreon, we are creating a really great community over there. You can find us at patreon.com/Amy Dolan to join our community and learn about how you can support our show. Recently, my friend Abby Davis came and joined us at the table. We had dinner and we recorded this episode that you're about to hear. Abby is Emmy nominated. She has worked as a TV and film producer for over a decade, most recently at Breakwater Studios, where she serves as the head of originals and business development. She's so cool. I really love her, and I was really glad that she joined me for this episode. When I met Abby a few months ago as she moved to Chicago, I became really curious about her experience in LA and specifically the connection that food had to her own experience working in entertainment, and wanted to hear from Abby firsthand what her experience had been and how she connects food with power and business and beauty and her identity and all of that. So it was so great that she came over. We talk about how she's continually growing more and more comfortable in her identity as a Korean person, which was just so special to talk about and hear her thoughts on that. We talk about the LA entertainment industry and what that did for her in thinking about her own body image. And then we talk about how she currently centers her business meetings around meals and how that helps people feel comfortable and at their very best. And so here is my conversation with my friend, Abby Davis. Welcome, Abby.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad that you are here. I made you dinner. It was a vegetable curry. You're like my favorite kind of dinner guest because I asked you, are you allergic to anything? Do you not like anything? And you were like, no, I'm not picky. Yeah. And I was like, I can make anything. What will it be?
Well, good.
So it was really fun cooking for you. And I'm just so glad. We've been trying to have dinner. I've been wanting you to, I feel like I invited you over for dinner like the first minute I met you, but this is the first time it worked out. And I'm so glad you're here.
Me too.
Everyone is going to love hearing from you. You are a new Chicago resident, right? How long have you been in Chicago?
Oh my goodness. Like probably 6 months, but I've really only spent maybe like 3 or 4 months here because of the travel for work and stuff. So
you go back to LA often, right?
Yes. And to like Michigan and New York and stuff. But like really, it's just like I'm brand new. I still know. I don't know where anything is.
Yes.
I get lost all the time.
I mean, so do I. And I've been here 6 years. So don't worry about it. So 6 months, though, you've been here in Chicago.
Yep.
And so you could fairly assess that it is the best city in the world, right?
I would actually say, yeah. I would totally agree to that. I mean, I don't have to have a car here, which is amazing, which means I don't have to look for parking, which is extra amazing. And then it's super clean.
Now, everyone says that. And so, like, growing up here, I, of course, don't notice that. But that's a real thing. You notice.
It's real.
Okay.
Definitely real. I think it's a cleaner version of New York City.
Yes.
So I'm here for a while. I think I'm going to stay a minute.
Yeah, you are. You're going to stay a minute. And now that I fed you, you can like come to the table anytime for dinner. You know the way. Well, welcome to Chicago and welcome to our table and the podcast. You are a film and television producer, which is so cool. You're our first film and television producer.
Ooh.
We met, one of Kelly's coworkers is a former coworker of yours, right?
Yes.
And good friend. Mm-hmm. And when you were moving here, she was like, y'all need to meet Abby. You're going to love her. And she was right. And I'm so thankful she introduced us, and now we're friends. So
it totally worked out.
It totally worked out.
Well, because before I moved here, I was just kind of like, who I don't know anyone there, especially just like grounded, open, progressive Christian people. And that it's sometimes hard to connect and find those people.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh my gosh, I know exactly who I need to introduce you to. And then I think you reached out, or I maybe looked you up online and read your website and everything. And I was like, I am vibing with this chick right now. I need to meet her. Yes. So it totally worked out.
It totally worked. We had a connection from the beginning. Yeah. And we're thankful to that friend who introduced us.
Woo. Yep.
How would you introduce yourself?
Well, I'm Abby Davis. I was born in Seoul, Korea.
Okay.
And then I was adopted when I was 3 months old.
Wow.
And I was raised in Saginaw, Michigan. If this was on TV, I'd put up my hand and show you where in Michigan. And then I moved to Los Angeles, marinated there for about 10 years or so, and now I'm back in the Midwest and very excited about it. And I'm a storyteller.
Yes, you are. You're such a storyteller. We're going to get to that because I want to know all about what makes a good story. What is the best meal you've ever had?
Okay, so I will preface this with, I am not a foodie fancy person. So my best meal is a little bit unconventional.
I love it.
I'd say. Okay, so and there's like a backstory.
Oh, great.
So the first time I ever went backpacking was in Catalina Island. And, you know, I was told it's challenging, but you'll be fine. And, you know, I got all of the things like for the backpacking trip, and like you have everything on your back, like your tent, your sleeping bag, your food or whatever. And it ended up being like around like 40, 45 pounds. And I was like ready to go. Like I was like an REI commercial. Okay. I looked super cool and I was amped. And we get there, and it's the hike from Two Harbors to Little Harbors is around like 5 miles, and like it gets up to an elevation of like 1,200 feet.
Okay.
I don't know what any of that means, clearly, because I show up with 40 pounds on my back and I'm like, this is gonna be so chill. And we start going, and like immediately it's this like huge hill. And I'm just like, oh, like this is like kind of intense. And then it starts raining, and I'm not talking like cute like pitter patter rain.
You are a good storyteller.
I'm talking like, well, because this was like a traumatic moment in my life.
I like the rain sound effects and stuff.
It was like a full on downpour, and we're going up these hills. I have like this intense pack on my back, and like my shoes are getting stuck in the mud. I have to put this like yellow poncho over myself, and I'm just like, this is where I'm gonna die. Like thank you, everyone I know. Yeah. This is where I'm going to be for the rest of my life. And I don't even know how long it takes. Like I want to say, I don't even know. It took forever. Yeah. So we finally get to the campsite, and it's dark, and we're exhausted, drenched, and we have to set up the whole camp and everything. And finally we sit down, and we're under this like shade structure with some like lights and stuff. And we have those like freeze-dried meals that come in.
This is going to be your best meal.
Big pouches.
I love this.
I swear to God, it was the chicken and rice, and then the beef with broccoli, and then also we had a biscuits and gravy, and we opened up everything.
Oh
and
my gosh.
All you do is you pour hot water into the bag, and then you like seal it shut, and you wait. And then like it literally was like some of the most like glorious food I've ever tasted. It was amazing. And then we had this like semblance of like a charcuterie board, like some dried meat or whatever. And I was just like, this is the best meal ever. I was like, this is amazing.
Okay, this is definitely a first on this podcast, and I love everything about it. What made that your best meal ever? Like, what was it?
Because I worked my ass off for that meal. Like being physically so exhausting, but when you got there, it was just this like beautiful scenery, and it was just such like an amazing opportunity to do that. And when you got to like sit down, and after you had everything set up and all you needed to do was eat, enjoy, and then sleep, I was down with all of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can like see, you are a good storyteller. I can like see all that and feel all that, and like the food to me would feel like such a reward.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And how often do we eat food and think like, wow, this is a reward for whatever I did today or what my body needs, or a gift, right? And so, to be in that scenery, and That's great. This is the first, and I hope we have more.
Is that okay?
Of course it's okay. It's your best meal. It's so great. Okay, so I want to know all about your childhood.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
And specifically, like what you remember about food when you were growing up. Did you cook with your family? Did you have family dinners? Did you go out to eat? Like, tell me what was food like for you growing up?
Well, so growing up in the Midwest, and I'm like a Midwest girl, like meat and potatoes, casseroles,
yes,
all cheese, like all of that stuff, was a part of my everyday. And my mom, was a stay-at-home mom. And so, I just got really lucky with, having dinner with my family every single night was just something that we did.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't realize how, rare or not, that's not everyone's experience until I got older. I mean, frankly, it was just like, yeah, okay, like everyone's here, we'll eat mashed potatoes and gravy and whatever and call it a night. But I look back on that really fondly, especially after my time in Los Angeles and just seeing, how there's usually two working parents, and it's just like that's not something that is granted to everyone. So I feel really lucky that I got to experience that, and going out to eat was definitely like a treat.
Yes.
It was one of those things that we wouldn't do it very often, but like holidays, celebratory stuff. And we would go to places like Applebee's and Chili's and Ruby Tuesdays. And like, it was just such a Midwest experience. It was awesome.
Such a big deal to go out to those restaurants. Right. So you would have dinner together every single night. Was it like a certain time? Like 6 o'clock?
Like 5 or 6 or something like that. Because my dad was like a 9 to 5 guy. And so we would all get together. And when I was little, my mom, I still do this, I'm really good at sleeping. And so
that's a great talent.
Pretty much like clockwork, when I was little, I would just fall asleep into my plate. And then my mom was like terrified that like I was going to like hit myself on the plate, or I was going to whatever. It was always a thing.
Oh my gosh.
They knew that would happen every meal.
And would you be done and then?
No, just like,
whenever you were tired.
Just take an exit strategy. I was just like, I'm done.
I kind of wish we could do this as adults. Like if you're like in a really boring conversation, or just like when the other person's talking too much about themselves, just like kind of throw your head on the table. Like, come on, man. Let's not keep going like this.
It's a pretty good tool.
It's a good tool, right? Maybe we should start that. So you said you were born in Seoul. And was there any aspect of Korean food like growing up, or did you learn how to cook Korean food? Did you go out for Korean food? Like, how did that identity shape you as you were growing up and eating?
Well, I mean, my parents are awesome in the sense that they tried really hard to get me in touch with my culture growing up.
Okay.
Like, they would make me go to Korean camp in the summer where, like, I'm hanging out with other adopted Korean kids and, like, we're learning Taekwondo and watching K-pop and, eating kimchi. And I was just like, like, I don't really want anything to do with this. Like, all of my other white friends are playing soccer and having fun and shit, and you're making me go to this, like, day camp, like, where everyone looks like me. Like, I didn't know what to do with that. Sure. So they tried really hard to incorporate it, but it was something that I really, if I'm being honest, like rejected flat out. Yeah. And I continued to do that for a large portion of my life into my adult life.
Yeah, of course.
Right. And not until like recently, within the last, I'd say like 5 or 6 years or so, have I been more comfortable about exploring that like very big part of who I am, but just a part that I never really was interested in.
Yeah. And do you think it was mostly because your friends were white? Is that why, do you think? Or just who you were and what you saw in culture and how you saw yourself?
I went to a pretty, I would say, diverse school in town. I mean, it's not the most diverse, but it's not like I was the only, person of color in my community. So I think I got really lucky in that right as well. But I really think what it boils down to is I just wanted to be liked and I just wanted to be like everyone else. And I think that just stems from my like core belief that like I'm different and I don't want to be that way. And that's not something I was really able to articulate until I was much older, I'd say.
Yeah, of course. Right. Like we probably all have some sense of everyone wants to be liked, right? But I imagine as a person of color, like it's especially pronounced, right?
Yeah.
And you are noticing differences and noticing white dominant culture too, right? That's like everything is, this is who's beautiful. This is the right food to eat. This is right how you act. That's like the white dominant culture. So of course it makes sense that like wouldn't be till you were older and like, wait a second. Who am I?
Well, and I really did think that, you know, growing up, like, you know, I wanted to listen to Britney Spears. I wanted to look like the girls that were in like Cosmo magazine, or I wanted to really, like you were saying, emulate white culture. And I think like that is a part of me, clearly, you know, but there's just this other 50% of me too that's Korean, but I just never really leaned into that.
Yeah.
You know, and that unawareness is just kind of, it fascinates me. It's like I almost like assimilated like too well.
Right.
You know?
Ooh, that's good. Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to turn this into therapy, but I'm going to ask so many other questions. So how would you describe your Korean identity today? Like, what does that mean to you?
That's a very good question. I think if I'm being honest, I'm still figuring that out.
Sure.
I think that I'm more comfortable now being different in whatever way that, you know, translates. As a woman, as, you know, a Korean person, as a Christian, whatever being different means. I think that I'm slowly becoming more comfortable just being myself. And that Korean part of myself, I am still digging into and I still want to learn more about. And I think ultimately my next step would be to go to Korea.
Wow.
And just exist there.
Yeah.
And just see what that's like. And I get nervous talking about it because I just know it's going to be a moment.
Of course.
You know, because there are still moments where I look in the mirror and I don't see a Korean person and I see a white person. Wow. Or I just, you know, I still have those moments. So I know when I go to a place like Korea and I step off the plane and I look to my left and I look to my right and there's a majority of people who look similar to me, it's going to be a mind fuck. I'm going to be like, whoa, like, what is this? What's going on? But I'm kind of welcoming that moment and that feeling because I know that there's no way I'm going to walk away from that experience without having gained or learned something.
Yes.
You
That's so beautiful.
Thanks.
So
I mean, I hope that happens. Knock on wood. We'll see.
Of course. And no doubt it's going to be like challenging and bring up that we were talking at dinner about being present to our lives and how sometimes that feels worse. Right. Like it's nice to be distracted.
Yes.
Yeah. And to not like fully be in touch with your identity or your emotions because then you don't have to deal with the negative parts of yourself or the negative parts of your emotions. And, but being present to your life is better.
I think so.
Even if it's
overall
hard. It's like the way we were meant to be. It just, can be overwhelming and new. And anyway, that's really, really beautiful.
Thanks.
I want you to have that. I want you to have that moment. And like, will you go with friends or like other people who can like process it with you?
I think so. Yeah. I think that, I've always wanted to go with just like a small support group of people because I mean, you've already heard a little bit of my dramatic side, and the dramatic stems from just me being a very like emotionally driven, sensitive person. So I know that experience, I'm just going to connect with it in a very deep way.
Yes.
You know, and I just think having people there who know me and unconditionally love me and are also like curious and eager to explore, I think will be a good combination.
Yeah.
So
it will be so good. And I just feel like it's going to be more, you're going to come back more yourself, which you're so beautiful to begin with, but like you're going to come back even more yourself, however that journey plays out. So I can't wait to like see you when you come back.
That's the hope.
Yeah. Okay, so let's make a very subtle transition.
Sure.
To the film.
Sorry, that went off the rails.
No, it was I loved it. I loved it. It was so beautiful and vulnerable. It really was. Let's talk about the entertainment industry in LA.
Okay.
So tell me about what food is like, what eating is like even in LA and in the entertainment industry. Like, do you eat? Do people eat? Like, do you gather around big tables of, like, being from the Midwest, we have like big family tables and giant bowls of pasta and all of that, right? Like
the carbs.
Right.
So many carbs.
Tell me what eating is like in LA.
Okay. Eating in Los Angeles. Well, Los Angeles in itself is a very interesting place. I'd say that I would be totally lying if I didn't admit that going into my Los Angeles experience, I didn't really have that many body conscious issues. I mean, I had like probably like an average amount.
Sure.
But definitely living there for a long period of time, I definitely just developed some new ideas about how I look and what I should look like. And I think a lot of that has to do with just the natural culture that exists there, which is, I mean, it's the entertainment mecca of the world. I mean, it is about what you look like and what you're showing the world. And that can be to a negative extreme, but it can also be to a positive extreme. And so I just think for me, I struggled with a lot of like comparison and a lot of just like habits or views that I just didn't have before. And I think when it comes to eating and food, a lot of that goes, it's aligned with what you look like, right? So I think that from a negative perspective, I probably am a little bit more self-conscious, but also I would say from a positive perspective, because you have access to the outdoors there, there is just a natural like health and wellness focus, which is super amazing, not something I was ever really exposed to. And so I think I did walk away with just being more aware of how to take care of myself, and the foods that I'm eating should be good, healthy foods, not all of the time, but like, you know, for a large majority of the time. And like exercise, hey, that's a good thing. That makes you feel good. Which like I've always been chronically against, and I still like have a really hard time with it. But I do feel like Los Angeles gave me that gift of just caring about your health and wellness.
That's so nice.
There's a duality, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
When the sun is always shining and it's always like 70.
Ooh, it's so nice.
That would be amazing, right?
It is so nice.
Today was like 85 in Chicago, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the last day for like a year. It's this nice.
For a hot minute,
yeah. So, I could see, it's cool to think about both sides of that. Did you eat when you were living in LA full time? Did you have a lot of gatherings where you would, like in people's homes, or did you mostly go out to eat?
It was definitely more of an out to eat kind of experience. I mean, I think in Los Angeles, food is like, you go to a restaurant because of the experience, right? It's like a new restaurant. People have written about it. People are talking about it. And there's a big foodie culture there. So that's like one respect. And then I think the other manner is, you know, doing business over food.
Yeah.
Which I think that concept had to grow on me, but it's something that I really like to do now. I really like to, if I have to have a meeting, having it over a breakfast or a lunch or a dinner, it just kind of takes like the intensity out a little bit. It's like when you're sharing food with someone and you're sitting across a table rather than in a stark conference room and you're like super far away at a long conference room table, it's a different vibe. Yeah. And I always want people to feel comfortable because I have a hard time feeling comfortable in certain situations. So if you're going to do business, you might as well just like be comfortable.
I love that. And it's like, I think food has the power to really do anything. But I've never thought about it like that, food in making people comfortable, right? I wonder what that is. Is it like we're eating the same food, or we're like have something to do with our hands and, like we're a little more casual? What do you think it is? Like, what is it about food or like sitting at a table together that makes people feel more comfortable?
I think it's all of those things. I think that it takes the pressure off of just we're staring at each other talking across the conference room table. So there's first that. And then I think that there's a connectivity with food, right? Like if we're just meeting each other and we get an appetizer that we both really love, that we've never tried before, that's something that we can talk about, that we're connecting together on. And if that food wasn't there, that moment wouldn't exist. Right. And so it just helps, for lack of better words, I think, break the ice. And then there's more room to talk and connect. And it's not so linear and like structured.
Yeah.
I don't like structure. I like routine, but like in certain situations, especially when it's like we're doing creative business, that like structuredness, I think, makes people feel uncomfortable. And when you're uncomfortable, you're not yourself. When you're not yourself, you're not at your best. And so it all works together, I think.
Love this. I feel like this is such a helpful, I'm just always like arranging my whole life around meals, but I feel like it's such a helpful thing to think about like food as a genuine tool for like accomplishing your goals, or even if you are going to meet someone with an intended business purpose, being really mindful about the food and the like what restaurant are you choosing, or what food are you choosing? I'm always thinking about, like, especially if I'm meeting someone for the first time and it might be like a business relationship, like, is there going to be a lot of green thing? Am I probably going to have pesto in my teeth as it ends? Okay, then I'm not doing that. Or like, is there I'm more comfortable using a fork when I'm eating. So like, is it a place where we can eat salads as opposed to just sandwich, right?
Totally.
So I love that idea about thinking about food and meals as tools to accomplish your goals or get your business done.
It can be really disarming. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
At least that's how I like to do business. Like of course, I'm sure there's a strategy of like, you want people on their toes and intimidated and like, to control the power in the room. But I feel like there's more power when it's equal and everyone is like, I keep saying the word comfortable, but like my number one goal in life is like achieve maximum comfort.
I love it.
So that's why I'm fixated on this. Yes. But like I just feel like there's more potential for there to be good business done when it's like chill and it's not do or die,
I bet, I know nothing about the LA entertainment industry, but like I just imagine you as such a breath of fresh air, given what you're just saying. Like, I imagine a culture where it's like cutthroat, everyone like limited jobs, limited opportunities. And so everyone just looking for every advantage, trying to maintain or get power and cut the other people out. And so I don't know. I feel like if I were in that environment and I were sitting across the table from you and you're trying to achieve maximum comfort and also create an environment where both people feel their best, that's amazing.
Oh.
That's really lovely. I bet you achieve great results because of that. It's the opposite of what we think we need to do.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's the trick though.
Yeah.
Is like people want you to think that like you have to conform or that it's this scary thing and that you should be intimidated and all of this like gross stuff. But in reality, at least from what I've seen, the most successful people in entertainment are the ones who are like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it my own way and I'm going to be myself and I'm not going to step on people to get there. And while it does take a little bit longer taking that route, I think that there are people who have done it and done it well. So I think it's all just a farce, you know?
I love this. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just like keep doing what you're doing. That's so lovely. I think that applies to every industry. Like I've only worked in churches, and most of the churches I've worked in led by white men have been from a intimidation perspective, mm-hmm. right? Believing that like best results come from people who are scared, afraid they're going to lose their jobs, send people to hell. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, that is a lie. Like that's about maintaining and keeping power. Nobody actually is their best under those conditions.
No way.
You act scared. You act like everything is scarce, and right? People are their best when they're comfortable. They're believing abundance, and they can offer their best things, right?
I totally agree. And when you're talking about employee retention or operating or achieving maximum efficiency at a company, all of those things make so much more sense than scaring the shit out of people to work well.
Right.
Just like,
guys, let's stop doing this.
Seriously. There's like psychology like backed behind all of this. Like it makes sense. But unfortunately, just a lot of people, I think, are just because it is easier, I think, to do it the wrong way, unfortunately, which is why people take that route.
And it just keeps that's what I just think. Like it's a way to maintain your power if you have it. But like, is that how you want to maintain your power? Like I would rather maintain whatever power I have because I'm like empowering teams and calling mm-hmm. people to like lead with me and feel that like people at their best is me at my best, right? Like, so anyway.
Good thing you're in charge.
Good thing you're in charge. But I mean, it's a really great thing to think about, and specifically food and tables as a chance to help people be at their best.
For sure.
Regardless of what situation you're in, right? Abby, you're amazing. Oh my gosh.
I'm loving this.
Oh my gosh. This is so good. I've loved talking with you. You've really given me a couple things to think about that I really, really appreciate, because I think about food and tables all the time, and food as comfort and bringing out the best in people is something that's not like on my mind that much. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. Let's do a little bit of a lightning round. Okay. You had mentioned meal prep before. I want to talk about that. I never do any meal prep because I just love the experience of cooking. But like, tell me, let's do a quick lightning round. Like what do you do to meal prep? What does that even mean?
Well, okay. I'm a terrible cook.
Okay.
But I am learning. And I usually choose something different each week, and it's something super easy. It's just like some kind of protein, some kind of vegetable.
Okay.
And I make sure that I make 5 servings.
Whoa. Okay, so like give an example. Like, what'd you do this week?
Okay, so one of my favorite things to make, which is like, I don't know, it makes me sound like a 6th grader, but whatever. It's almond flour crusted chicken tenders.
Yes.
And then just like broccoli
100%.
with like garlic or whatever.
Yeah.
But really my favorite part about meal prep is less picking out what I'm going to make, and just on Sundays I put on a record and I'm in my kitchen, and it's just like a therapeutic process. Like after I was an agent for many years, and that job was just so intense that I ended up taking like 5 months off after that. And this is like when I discovered that practice of like being in my kitchen and leisurely making food that's healthy, that is going to set me up during the week, and listening to any record and just like being chill about it. Because before it was like, oh my gosh, I have to make food. I have to make it super fast because I'm so busy. And then if I don't do that, then I'm going to have to eat out all week. I'm going to spend money. And it was just this like intense thing. And it was not calm or therapeutic or fun at all. And then once I got the time and space to slow down, I was able to craft a practice that like worked. So I like it.
I love this. I love this. Like for me, that's whatever weeknight, we're home. Like that's what I do, like 5 to 6. That's like my transition period to like, okay, work is done, slow your mind, transition to like the evening. And so I love that you would do that all on a Sunday, like, yeah, with a record playing. It's like, it just feels like such beautiful, like care for yourself. You're not cooking for anyone else. You're thinking about yourself and the week and how this lovely food will nourish you all week.
I love that you said that because it is, I consider it to be a part of my self-care practice.
It's so good. Yeah. It's so good. You may be inspiring me to do that. But a very important question. Can you really eat the same thing every single day?
Yeah. And I think it is for my lifestyle, at least, like sometimes I'll have, you know, meetings over lunch or meetings over dinner. So I do get to switch it up during the week. But I really respond to routine. And so I like knowing that, sure, I can eat out tonight at this dinner, but then tomorrow I don't need to worry about where my dinner is coming from.
That's
and
really
I think
nice.
like taking out that worry. I mean, I have like anxiety and I'm always like on the go. So it's just nice to know that it's there.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
You're giving me a lot to think about tonight, Abby. I need to maybe balance. I need to balance because cooking is such a like lovely thing for me that I only want to do it all the time. But I'm wondering if like, yeah, it's also proving stressful when I don't have the time to do it or I have to think. It just a few meals maybe relieving the thought process.
Totally.
Would be nice.
And you don't need to overdo it. Like there was a moment at the beginning where I made like 3 different things.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the week, I'm like, I didn't eat half of this, you know, but literally for me, just making one thing, like maybe I'll have one left over or something, but it's nice just to like be able to turn to it. Cause like we're so busy and stuff. Like you don't know what a day is going to throw at you. And like sometimes you just want to get home and it's like, thank God I have my dorky chicken and broccoli in the fridge. Or I would go to like Taco Bell or do whatever right now, Postmate some shit. And it's just like, and you feel gross after. And it's like a whole cycle.
I mean, it's coming back to your life mantra of achieving ultimate maximum comfortability. Like that.
Comfort.
Yeah. Like the chicken, right. The chicken and broccoli somehow at night like comforts you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I love this. Do you know what the Sunday scaries are?
Yes.
Okay. So this is like,
my gosh. Yes.
Sorry. I scared you into it just by saying it. The Sunday scaries are like a real thing, right? As it starts to get dark on Sunday, I panic about the week. Even if like nothing scary is happening that week, it's just that like the weekend's over. And so some of even why I love Sunday Supper Church at Sunday night is I feel like it's one way to combat the Sunday scaries. Like if you can get out, sometimes you can't get out of your house, but like if you can get out of your house, okay, you're going to be with friends, you're going to have a lovely meal, you're going to be inspired. Great. But like the weeks we don't have Sunday Supper Church, I've been thinking a lot about other practices I can add to combat the Sunday scaries, right? And I just love the idea. Usually for me, it's like if we're home and we have nothing, it's like I have to make a big comfort meal. Like I need like a giant pot of soup or something that's been like stewing all day. And I love the idea of meal prep as like one way to combat the Sunday scaries.
Something to focus on.
Yeah.
And I would suggest like a Harry Belafonte record or some Motown, you know, something that's like you can kind of dance to but be chill too.
Yes.
You know, it's a really beautiful combination of things going on at once, you know?
It's
like
so
listening to tunes, making food. It's fun.
It's so good. And now I need a record player.
Oh my gosh, you so need to get a record player. It's like one of the best things that I own. And I never was that person that's like, I need a record player. But like I've had it for the last like 10 years or so. It's life-changing.
Really? Okay, we're going to do another episode on records.
Okay. I'm ready.
Okay, I want to know the best Chicago restaurant in Abby Davis's opinion. 6-month Chicago restaurant. Like where must people eat? Where do you take your friends? Or like where must people eat when they come to Chicago? I love how happy you look.
Because I have like the most like basic palate, but like I am obsessed with these 2 places.
Okay.
And they're walking distance from where I live in Bucktown. Small Cheval.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Like I don't know what they put in those burgers.
It's better not to know.
What like that the smell that you can just like that just fills the air. I get so excited. I go to yoga right next door.
Okay, no. You do not go to yoga and then have a giant burger.
I literally left today and was like, well, it's like 11:30. Like, I wonder if Small Cheval's open. And I exercised some discipline today, but I literally always am just like, well, you know, it's right there.
Oh my gosh.
I've probably eaten there more in 6 months than like I've eaten at any other place.
It's so good.
I'm obsessed with that place.
Now, have you been to Au Cheval?
I have not.
Okay, so you need to do that.
Talking a big game about that place.
It is 100% it lives up to its reputation.
Is it the same thing though?
So they're connected, yes. But like I'm not a total burger person at all. Like Kelly craves a burger every day. Yeah. And I'm like, I had one like 2 months ago. I'm good. But everyone talks about Au Cheval, right? And so we went for his birthday maybe like 2 years ago. And I don't know what is happening, but it is the best burger you've ever had in your life. And Small Cheval is so good, but like Au Cheval is...
It's different.
Totally different. Huh. And maybe we'll give Kelly a mic so that he can explain the differences. But you can't go to Au Cheval every day, and you can't go after yoga. So Small Cheval is where you should be.
Yeah, it's kind of become a problem.
It's so good, right?
Yeah, it's the spot.
Do you take people when they come to visit? Yeah, of course.
And you know what? It's embarrassing. Well, maybe not embarrassing, but like I took my parents there. Yeah. And you know, I'm down. I've got it down to a science. Like I can eat the whole burger. I eat all the fries. Like I know what I'm doing. My parents are like, well, we'll just share a burger. And like they barely ate their halves. I'm like, what are you guys doing? I was like, we cannot throw this away. We are taking it home for later. Like I'm not a foodie, but for some reason, like that place, like I can talk about all day. I could eat it once a week.
I think maybe you are more of a foodie than you are giving yourself credit. Maybe this is an identity you want to start practicing.
So I'm obsessed with that place. Yes. And breakfast is like my favorite meal, like of the day in general. I could eat breakfast all day. Biscuits and gravy, that's my shit. Like, love it.
Okay, where do you go?
But this place, I do not get biscuits and gravy at, but I get their grits. Yeah. Doves.
Oh, you know, I have not been there.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
Yes, everyone, the luncheonette, right? That's the same. Yeah. Okay, so you get grits there. That's what you recommend?
I usually get just like their simple, basic breakfast with like some breakfast meat, eggs. I'm pretty sure there's potatoes, but I get the grits. And they have this, they're going to kill me because I don't know what it's called, but it's this amazing like chutney salsa thing. Yum. And I put it, it's at every table.
Oh my gosh.
And like, they're kind of like famous for it. Like people know them for it. Okay. It comes in this like little metal, very unassuming thing. Like you're probably like, ooh, there's probably something gross in there that's been sitting there forever. Uh-huh. No, it's magic. It is so, I don't even know what it is, but I put it all over my grits. It's incredible. The flavor, like, what am I saying? Like, I don't say shit like this. The flavor, like these places, like bring it out in me. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going
on. Maybe this is you.
Maybe this is what Chicago has brought out in me.
And I would be so happy if that were the case.
Definitely got to go there, though.
Okay, Dove's Luncheonette. You can walk. It's close to you also?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty dangerous,
where you live. Breakfast, going out for breakfast is like the greatest luxury in the world, I think, because it's like such basic food, right? Like you can make great eggs at home, you can fry up some potatoes, whatever, but like not having to do that and go out and take your time. And then especially when it's so delicious, like I'm a little snooty when it comes to like bad breakfast food. I'm like, come on.
No. Like not having it.
No, like if I can do this at home, like no. So a really great breakfast place is just like the ultimate luxury, I think, right? So let's wrap this up. We could go all day, but like, let's wrap this up. What do you want to say as we finish now? Do you have a parting piece of guidance as people are thinking about food over business or creating food as a way of comfort, as a way of self-care? What would you just want to say as encouragement to people as they're thinking about food and feeding themselves and each other?
I guess I would say examine or explore your relationship to food. Because I think I guess I didn't really realize I was doing that until we had this conversation.
Yeah.
But my relationship to food is, a way to take care of myself. It is a way to connect with people, and it is a way to like calm my anxiety-ridden self down,
Yes.
And so like through the week and everything. So I think I would just encourage people to do that too, because there's some power. I think we've kind of uncovered that there's like power in just like eating. There's more to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Abby, you're the most lovely spirit. I'm so glad to know you. I'm so glad you live here. And cheers to more brunch and more food, okay?
Girl, yes. We've got some brunching to do.
We got some brunching to do.
Kelly can come too.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here, Abby.
Thanks for having me.